It's a bit traumatizing though. I forgot how stressful Dan Brown books are. My brain is mush right now from reading for the past 24 hours. So many red herrings. This is the trouble of picking up a really good book and having responsibilities, adulting, when all you want to do is read. One of the best roller coasters his book has taken me on in a while. I have been reading Dan Brown, Origin, for the past week. Dan Brown is one of my favorite authors, like, of all time, literally because of how he writes. It's a very specific formula. He follows this formula every time, yet I still fall for the thirst trap. That is the writing of Dan Brown. We always follow our main character, Robert Langdon, which I feel like he's basically Indiana Jones, except he's not an archaeologist. He is a symbologist. He knows all these facts about history and symbols throughout history and famous paintings and what they all mean. And he also knows things about literature and poetry. Basically anything that's a symbol, he understands it. So he is an expert in his field. And he seems to know people of importance, whether they work for a museum or they're making a big scientific discovery, or they just have some sort of importance in the arts, religious, or scientific area. And he ends up going to an event and something grand is going to be expressed to the audience. And Dan Brown, he's such a jerk because he's like sprinkles what the information is about. Like, I kind of feel like he's almost like the Mr. Beast of books, because he'll be like, so this is what it's about, but I'm not gonna tell you what the actual thing is. I'm just gonna say what it kind of is. But the actual thing you want, we're not gonna get to that right away. And he continues to sprinkle. And right when you think you're about to get the like insane information that his character in his book is like, this is like gonna change everything, something terrible happens and that character can no longer give you that information. And I know it's gonna happen every time, but I'm just sitting there reading almost to the point where I'm like skipping sentences, trying to get to the next thing. And I'm like, oh, Dan Brown, I just want to know the thing. But then the whole journey would be ruined. So then Robert Langdon, he is off on an adventure, usually with another character to help him. They somehow have a connection to the person who is supposed to give the information, and they're solving all these clues along the way. And then there's also moments where you're like, do we really have time for this, guys? But it's character development. It's super important. So I get it. I'm just also wanting to like solve the mystery. And I don't know, I feel like I'm watching a movie as I'm reading a book, because his pace is so fast that like you're moving as fast as the characters are, you're stressed out as they are. And then when they take these intimate short moments, all of a sudden after they do that, they're like, fuck, and something happens and they have to keep going and they're almost about to get caught. Like, it is insane the way that Dan Brown writes, and he does the formula every single time, but because it's always a different story with a different set of stakes and different information, you're just like freaking out and you're all along for the ride. I mean, if you want to learn how to do like a really good story and keep your audience in for the full run, read a Dan Brown book. Because also what he does in the beginning of his book, he has like a prologue, which is basically the foundation of what the book is about. So for this book in particular, the character that had said information, again, try not to do spoilers, has said information that's going to change the world. He goes to three big religious leaders. One is very well known in the Catholic religion, the other one of Hinduism, and the other one is for Islam. So they're very important, prolific leaders of the religious world, and he tells them what he discovered. Again, Dan Brown does not tell us, because it's very much important of show don't tell, but we see as we're reading how much it affects these three big prolific religious leaders. And they are terrified about this information. It has to be pretty juicy. As Robert is trying to figure this information out, he is also like, at the same time, what did my friend discover that would cause this big of a ripple in society? Unfortunately, didn't get into this book as fast as I wanted because it was my birthday week. I turned 33. It's very exciting, but so it was a little delayed. But once I got in it, I was like, I can't stop. According to my Kindle, there is only 5.5 hours left in this book. The goal is to finish this book today. I have to go into therapy, and then I have another Zoom meeting after that, and then I'm visiting with my friend who I haven't seen in a couple weeks. I'm gonna finish the book though, tonight. It's Friday, this video has to come out Sunday, and I need to edit it tomorrow. We're gonna get through today, we're gonna finish the book, we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna see how much I loved it. So far I'm loving it. This is why he's my favorite author. I will speak to you soon. Oh, I wanna read it now, but I can't because I have prior engagements, you guys. This is the trouble of picking up a really good book and having responsibilities, adulting, when all you want to do is read. Okay, maybe you go read a book while I'm stressing about this, and I'll see you in a bit. Oh my god. So it's 8:30 right now, guys. I'm super duper hungry. I just made some pizza. I'm also kind of tired, which is really annoying because I still have 145 pages to go. I still have 145 pages to go. And according to my cute little Kindle, it says that's about 4.5 hours. Do I really want to go to bed at 12:30 or 1? I don't know. Maybe if that's what it means, getting this book done. Worst case, I get most of it done tonight and some done in the morning. Because like I said, this video is coming out Sunday, whether or not I like it. And that means it has to get edited tomorrow. And I cannot handle Dan Brown right now. Like, the amount of red herring characters that are going on, it's insane. Because like I said, there's this guy named Edmund Kirsch who made this amazing scientific discovery about debating whether or not God actually exists. And the whole world is freaking out about it. But right before he was about to give his information, something terrible happened to him. Whether he's dead or alive, I'm not going to tell you. Whether he's injured, kidnapped, whatever, you're going to have to read the book to find out. But something happened, so he is not able to give out this information. So it's up to Robert right now to figure out this for him. And the amount of people involved, or could be involved, in what happened to Edmund as to why he can't put this information out. So many red herrings. Like, I just want to know, Dan, like, every time you think you know, nope, he sends in another curveball. He has someone talking on the phone to someone with a different name, or someone starts talking to someone that you didn't know knew each other, and your brain is just exploding and you're completely stressed out. So that's cool. That's cool. I'm just on a roller coaster of emotions right now. But we're gonna eat some pizza and we're gonna read this historical fiction mystery, and we're gonna find out what is going on because my emotions can't handle it anymore. It's 10:30 and I've been reading for over 2 hours. I have about 3 hours still left in the book. I need to take a shower because I'm having like an allergy attack in my eyes. Whose allergies are bad this year? Raise your hand. And then I'm gonna try to read a little bit longer, but like I said, it's 10:30 and I'm hitting my peak. But it feels like we're this close to like the goal that Robert needs to achieve is gonna happen. But it can't be that easy, can it? It could, even though there was literally just a line in the book where like, there's like this AI that's helping them, that the guy who had the scientific discovery, he created this AI named Winston. And Winston's like, yep, if we go over here, we can put the password in and have the information sent out to the world in 10 minutes. And they were both kind of like, that easy after like how hard this whole night has been? And Dan Brown doesn't write things just for fun. So I'm like, oh God, what are we gonna encounter now? But hopefully maybe it gets out, and then the rest of the chapters are like the repercussion of it getting out. Because I just want to know what his discovery was. It's been really good though, because one of the things I love about Dan Brown, which is hard because when you're reading like a mystery, just like you want to get to the facts, you want to know what's happening. But he stops and he takes these moments, and like a character will arrive at a location and he'll say like, basically to the extent of like, they'll look at a place, they'll recognize it, and they'll go deep in thought. And then they recount a memory that they had there, which gives you then more information about the character and who they are. And I think that's a really cool way of giving bits and pieces about characters in books, especially when we're on like this big goose hunt. Time to shower. Guys, I'm so close. I have 59 pages, but it's 12:30 and I can't keep my eyes open like the last 2 pages. I just kept like nodding off. It's literally in the moment as they've like released the information to the world and we're like watching the presentation of the scientific discoveries. Again, Dan Brown dragging me along, waiting for the big thing. He has to do so much research to perfectly describe
all these like actual locations in Spain, like these beautiful cathedrals that are full of tons of old art. And then the scientist who made this big discovery has this like insane computer lab, and he just explained everything that was in there. And I didn't even know what half the stuff was. So like he's doing insane research. Like the amount of information that he needs to know to do these books accurately it's nuts. But we're gonna go to bed. We're gonna finish the book in the morning. Good night.
Oh, I did it. I finished the book. I finished Dan Brown Origin around 12:30, which was an hour ago. I have so many thoughts and feelings. I literally don't think I've read a Dan Brown book in a very long time because I forgot what a roller coaster that is. So for my thoughts, it's gonna be a little challenging because all of Dan Brown's books, like everything in them, is a spoiler. That's how I'm gonna go about it. I would say for the big surprise that he has in every book, it's always like some sort of scientific discovery or something the religious community is doing that's gonna rock the world. This felt really exciting leading up to it, but I think out of all of his books, Inferno, when it comes to that, it was the most exciting for me. I really do enjoy Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code. Those would probably be next, but something about Origin kind of fell flat for me. I guess, I don't know, I was expecting something more big and grand, and it, like when I got it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I think it's more that the information that was presented to the world within Dan Brown's book is what made it so shocking and upsetting. Like I don't know, if the information was presented to us today, which it kind of already is, and granted this book again was written in 2017, I don't think it would super shock me. It's like, yeah, we're kind of going in that direction. But the whole roller coaster leading up to that, and also the side stories of all the characters that were wrapped up, that were involved in this, that I really loved. Langdon always usually has a woman who is helping him solve the mystery. And this character, she was in charge of a modern art museum, a big one in Spain. She was also engaged to the Prince of Spain, gave a lot of good drama. And then we had all this stuff going on with the Spanish monarchy, you know, whether or not the church was going to grow with the times or really push back. And we had all these red herrings about who had done this awful thing to Edmund Kirsch. And I'll tell you, like when I found out at the end who it was, I had a feeling, because the author did such a good job of distracting me in the sense of making it seem that this particular person was a good person, that I just forgot about that. Like my brain is mush right now from reading for the past 24 hours. Every time we interacted with this character, he kept reminding us as the reader, he's a good person, they're loyal, they wouldn't do such a thing, blah, blah, blah. So you just kept getting completely distracted from like this lingering thought of, could they have done it? So then you're really shocked when it does happen. And just all the other stuff that came about, like was a shocking truth that came out about the King of Spain. Again, this is all fiction. But it was like a nice side story that he added to it. And then I feel like I've never really thought about this, but as I was reading kind of like the acknowledgements of the book, I feel like Dan Brown really puts himself in Robert Langdon's shoes. And this is like, because he's talked about in interviews where like he himself is really trying to understand religion and science, how they both coexist in the world, which one's right or wrong, or can they actually mesh? And the way that Robert's character reflected about this discovery, he was still kind of torn between the discovery that Edmund had made and was like, I don't know, because a lot of his work is built through religious art and symbols and history. And so a part of him is like, I still think there could be something out there. So I thought that was very interesting and fascinating how he tussles with his feelings through Robert's character. And then I also appreciate that after Dan Brown sent me through that very emotional roller coaster, had a couple chapters with Robert and the other characters to really like unwind and settle down from this high he put us on. All in all, I will say I loved this book. It was a huge roller coaster. I think for the scientific discovery, it was really interesting and fascinating, but it didn't rock me in such a like way. I feel like it really built up to this potential thing that was really just not exciting as I thought it was gonna be again. But I still think some of his other books, when it comes to another character having a scientific discovery that they're sharing with the world, or a religious discovery, because some of his other books have that too, I found those more exciting. Maybe that's because they were tied a little bit more to conspiracy theories versus this book felt like kind of related in reality. Maybe that's what it was. But if you are a Dan Brown fan or you love historical fiction I would definitely read this book. If you haven't read any Dan Brown books, pick any of them. They're all great. One of the things I really love about Dan Brown is how he literally sets the stage for any new place they go into, and he describes it from head to toe, which I so appreciate that he explains everything in full detail, because many of these places are based off of actual places in the world. And his books always take place in one particular country. So Origin takes place in Spain. There were all these cool cathedrals that he described, different buildings that were created by artists from like hundreds of years ago, and also a bunch of modern art stuff that I'd never thought about. And it really makes me now want to go to Spain and explore all of these things. My best friend actually went on a trip to Italy a couple years ago, and I literally told her, like, you have to read Inferno before you go, because the way that Robert's character goes through all of Italy, it was all the places she was stopping at, and I was like, you're gonna read his book, you're gonna get all the backstory information on these art pieces, and then you have that when you go on your trip. Like, you don't even need a tour guide. So not only do you have all those things from Dan Brown when it comes to history relating to art or literature, symbols, all that stuff, all his books always deal with science. And he was saying in his acknowledgement how many scientists and computer scientists he sat down with to do all this research, and like, it is mind-boggling, because I literally feel as if Dan Brown is like a scholar in all of these things, explains them. So for a writer to go through all that effort to try and put all the science and computer science into his story, make it feel as real as possible, I think is so respectful to his audience, and it shows a great effort about how much he cares about the stories he wants to tell, because he's talked about like his conflicts, again, as I was saying earlier, with trying to understand his relationship to religion and science. And these books are really a way for him to express about how he feels about all the things happening in the world. And he does it in such a beautiful way in respect to both religion and science, which is why I truly do think that Robert Langdon is a stem of him. One of the best roller coasters his book has taken me on in a while. And to give my brain a little bit of a break, but also maybe not a good break, because I've already read a couple pages and I'm like, what is this? My next book I'm reading is Bridgerton. Yes, the first one, The Duke and I. The show is really popular right now. I watched season 1. I kind of enjoyed it. I get the whole point of it, but I'm a little like, eh. And I was visiting my best friend. She has the book, so I was like, let's read it and see how I like it. You'll find out about that in my next video. I'll see you guys next week.